cars back on the racetrack here in the USF Pro Championships. We've seen them once already. These are the USF2000 drivers, the middle rung of this ladder program, flanked by USF Juniors as the entry, and USF Pro 2000 as the final rung into the Indy Next Series. This is USF 2000 qualifying for race number 2. Already one qualifying session done and dusted, as I had said. Lockie Hughes, the Australian, for Jay Howard Driver Development on the pole. And we'll see how things shake down here for the race that will go tomorrow afternoon. My name is Rob Howden, the voice of this USF Pro Championships. If you're tuned into the YouTube channel or potentially the USF Pro Championships app, welcome. Great to have you tuning in here from beautiful Road America alongside the voice of this facility, Eric Miller. Great to have you back with Eric in the PA booth here at Road America. And we saw an interesting qualifying session. Not much time between the two sessions, Eric, although drivers can get in there, do a bit of a debrief, watch some video. Hopefully we'll see the pack close up a little bit for some minor adjustments being made.
Yeah, and obviously you want to make some good use of your time. We had that very early red in that first session. We want to try to avoid that here as maximize time, maximize effort, trying to find that narrow margin that they're looking for here.
Yeah, so a 30-minute window to get 20 minutes of green flag qualifying in. So we could finish early if indeed we go clean and green. For these drivers, obviously, we talked about the IndyCar autograph session. We're going to have our own autograph session in the same area at 12:30 tomorrow. Will be the USF 2000 drivers, pro drivers at 12:30, and then the USF 2000 drivers at 1 o'clock. Again, right across from the Tufte Center. It's exactly where the IndyCar autograph session is right now. And again, big thank you to everyone at Discount Tire. We're so thrilled to be working with them. They are the sponsor of our Discount Tire Scholarship Program. Of course, USF 2000 drivers getting a scholarship worth over $430,000 to move into the USF Pro category. Then $664,500, the scholarship to move into Indy Next in 2024. This weekend, while you're watching or here trackside, visit discounttire.com for instant savings of $110 on sets of Cooper tires. This promotion runs June 16th, 17th, and 18th. So while you're watching the broadcast, want to put some new tires on the street car, discounttire.com, an instant $110 savings if you buy Cooper tires. So again, drivers rolling out here, getting things underway. Big, long run around, over 2 minutes, of course, to get around even to the timing stripe. Now they're just on their first flying lap. And if we go clean and green, we expect to see them get lapped. I'm going to say probably lap 4, lap 5 potentially. So it looks like we may have an issue already.
Cut around in the grass in 3 is moving back down the racetrack. Yep. So we may avoid what we had certainly hoped we'd avoid early in the going here. That red flag early really doesn't help anybody banking a lap.
Here's an interesting thing, Eric, is the fact that this track with the repave, everybody's carrying more speed into these corners. We're hearing maybe carrying another gear through 1, through 3, down to Canada. As we got a driver off, fully 4 wheels off, coming out the top of the hill in 6. We've seen that happen before. That's one of the VRD racing drivers who's gone off there. So, man, it's everybody pushing super hard. The track is very smooth. There's a lot of grip. I think there was some kind of concerns about grip. Nope, we got lots of grip right now. The teams maybe even having to dial some grip out of it a little bit, try to change up stiffen the overall platform a little bit. But everybody, again, getting a feel for qualifying, putting on some fresh boots, got the fresh sticker Coopers, making a little adjustment to the car, get them back on the track. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see some drivers that maybe were outside the top 10 find their way into the top 10 for this session.
In what we have seen so far, even in our pro category, a lot of teams very close, just within 0.7 of a second from 1st to 7th, 1st to 10th, and so that margin of opportunity is very close with these USF 2000 cars.
It doesn't take much, right, to make the mistake. A couple drivers into pit lane already. Looks to me like the entire Pabst Racing crew rolling in. There's Matt Clark as well, so a number of drivers coming in. And what we're expecting they're doing here is essentially scuffing in a set of tires for the race. 3 sets of fresh tires that they've used through 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races. So we saw this in the opening session, drivers going out, getting maybe 1, maybe 2 laps in. Really, if you think about it, it's 2 laps in. You're out for that first warm-up lap. You got 1 flyer lap to get the banker lap in. You come in. Those tires now scuffed. They'll have a heat cycle on them, meaning they'll wear a little easier tomorrow, and they'll also be coming up to temperature more quickly at the start of the race. So you're going to be able to attack as opposed to maybe working on tires with less grip. That opening lap, Max Garcia was the fastest driver on the out lap. Simon Sykes in second, Jacob Douglas in third. So Pabst Racing 1, 2, 3 on the out lap. So they pushed hard knowing they were trying to get some heat into those tires for this heat cycle. Sam Corey and George Garciarce in the 5th spot. Matt Clark 6th, 7th Chase Gardner, 8th Danny Dzelski, 9th Elliott Cox, and 10th Nikita Johnson. Everybody getting one lap in. 21 drivers in total here this weekend. Bunch of drivers coming in to kind of make their debuts, their first taste of USF2000 racing. Jack Jeffers being one of them, driver for Exclusive Autosport out of San Antonio, Texas. Jeffers in the 92, the most recent winner of our USF Juniors program. And in fact, he's brought that car into pit lane already. Jeffers coming in. Not sure what they're not jumping on it to put tires on it, so I'm not sure if there's an issue here for the 92 of Jack Jeffers or not, but he's into pit lane now. Another driver making his debut here this weekend, Dane Scott, who is running with J. Howard Driver Development. Dane out of Norcross, Georgia. Kind of picked up the sport late last year, been doing a ton of testing in his F4 car, and we expect to see him full-time in the USF Pro Championships next year with J. Howard Driver Development. Got a probationary license to come and run USF2000 this year, a sample for what it's like to be here as part of the action here. We'll take the opportunity as well to say hello to some of our guests we have here this weekend from L&W Supply, Cooper Tires, our longtime partner Elite Engines has guests here as well here this weekend, and so thrilled to have everyone here as part of our guests up in the suite or enjoying yourselves around the track. Second lap in the books, Lockie Hughes, who already has pole position number 1 locked up, already scored $1,000. It's $1,000 for the Cooper Tire Pole Award. Lockie Hughes pole for race number 1. Trying to see if he can back it up. Here come the VRD drivers into pit lane. They'll make their change on tires. Sam Corey goes second. Evagoras Papasavas in third. Nikita Johnson and Danny Dzelski. So both those drivers, all 3 of the drivers from VRD, 2, 4, and 5. Gordon Scully down at 17th right now. Again, a couple different strategies, Eric, to kind of kick things off here, right? We got guys that are scuffing tires. We figured that deal out. They're going to have good rubber dialed in and ready to go for both the main events tomorrow. So both USF2000 races will be tomorrow in what should be pretty good temperatures for them. But, yeah, a couple different strategies tire-wise here.
Which also plays into a fact a little bit about having multiple qualifying sessions today, 2 different times of the day. Races are going to be at different times, but because both races are in one day, puts a premium on staying out of trouble, too.
Yeah. If you make a mistake in that first race, you think about that, you're not giving your team a ton of time. First race is at 11 o'clock. Let's say wrap it up at 11:45. We're back on the racetrack essentially about 3 hours later. And by back on track, I mean green flag. We're not talking about rolling up to the pre-grid, getting on the pit lane. So if you have a major wreck, you're looking at maybe 2 hours, right, to get that thing done. So, again, that first race, if that's in the back of the minds of some of the drivers, I would be more than happy to know that they could potentially go green to checker instead and kind of run a more conservative race to a certain extent, make sure you get it home.
Now, you participate in drivers' meetings occasionally.
I love doing that, yeah.
And I know it's a passion of yours, is educating
that's what it's about.
These drivers and teams and about really what it's all about, more than just inside the race car. It's outside, what happens outside the race car as well. Take me through a little bit of that drivers' meeting mentality when you have a weekend like this, where it is obviously with a major series, both Indy Next as well as the NTT IndyCar Series. You have some visibility here. We've had races where they haven't shown their best.
Yeah.
And we've also had races where they've probably been the best race of the weekend. So take us through a little bit about what the approach is from a race control, race director, kind of, drivers meeting perspective.
Yeah, we'll start with that out of the box concept, with the fact that we are in front of IndyCar, this particular racetrack. This track as well is a long track with a lot of arrows, so a lot of drafts. So a track that maybe doesn't have so much draft would separate the cars a lot more, right? You may not be the fastest guy on the racetrack, but if you're able to get the draft, you can maybe race a little bit over your head, race against some guys that otherwise would pull away at a track that would be a little different, maybe a street circuit. So we're going to have more packs. More guys are going to run together because of the draft. Really, it's the great thing about our race directors is it's any race director, the delivery is always super calm, right? Super methodical. We're going to go over, especially we have somebody in USF2000, maybe a first pole sitter, first time they're on the pole. You go over all the procedures. What's this is where we're there. Here's the start line. Here's the punch off line. Here's how we'll do restarts. This is what we expect in terms of the way you're going to be racing. And a lot of times, they'll take a little bit of a time to kind of educate more on, again, going over what a pass is. What is position? Driver, I've got position. I was inside him. It's not It's not right front to left rear. That's not enough. You got to almost be alongside so they can look off the side and see you. So a lot of times we're doing a lot of educating on what we expect, and it's almost like we teach them what we expect to happen on the racetrack. And I think that's one of the great things about our program is, especially you see the USF Juniors program, 4 of our first 5 races went green to checker. And the other one that didn't was a quick spin. Somebody got into the back of a guy at the start and spun him around. We went right back to it. When drivers that young get a chance to do that much racing, that's really good development. So our focus is to make sure they understand how to race clean, because, listen, if you're running 12th, 13th, a low percentage move to try to overtake makes no sense if you take yourself out, because finishing 11th, finishing 12th is not going to change your career, but it's going to cost you lots of money if you wreck something. And number 2, you need to learn the decision making of not making a bad one.
And we've always talked about patience is the better part of valor in that point. Sometimes it's just easier to take that lump, finish 12th with all 4 corners still on the race car.
And a 12th is better than a 21st, that's for sure. And you're getting the points you need, and then you're able to get all the distance. And that's obviously one of the issues. We see some drivers when they get a little more overzealous, they make that low percentage run, the high risk move, throwing it up the inside, and that's when you get the yellows, and that's when the drivers start learning like they should be.
And it's not like we don't see it in the IndyCar series either. I mean, these professional race car drivers are known to sometimes make contact going into turn 1 in the first lap. They're not immune to making the same.
But they're also driving for
mistakes.
their careers,
right?
Like, this is you're a professional. You're expected to go forward.
Exactly. So, but in that aspect, I think we said earlier the proof is in the pudding of how well this program goes. You look at the Indy Next races from Detroit, and I keep going back to Nolan Siegel, Reese Gold, that whole battle throughout that entire weekend. That was just a great sportsmanship shown.
Yeah.
And they raced each other clean. They gave each other space, and really the whole top 10 of that field are graduates through this program.
And the great thing about those 2 drivers, they both came in at 14 years of age. Remember, they were young when they first came into our program, but they weren't in a hurry either, which was great. They did 2 years at each level, which I think is key. We are working our way through this session, folks, and Lockie Hughes still leading the way. 4 laps in, a 208.500 for Lockie Hughes. Max Garcia sits in second, Jacob Douglas third, Sam Corey in the 4th spot, George Garcia-Arce in 5th, and here comes Matt Clark and Simon Sykes. Now, fuel levels are coming down, tires are getting into the optimum temp, and the tire pressures are coming up where they need to be. Drivers need to be smart and find themselves around the right people. Matt Clark, P1, USF Juniors champion from last year. Already a USF2000 race winner, having scored a victory at Portland in the finale last year. He'd already locked up the USF Juniors Championship at COTA, came up and got a chance to run for D-Force Racing. Won the race, won one of the 3 races at Portland. Obviously has the scholarship from the Juniors Championship out of Campbellville, Ontario, Canada. P1 right now by about a 10th over Simon Sykes. Hughes 3rd, Garcia 4th, Garcia-Arce in 5th, Douglas 6th, Sam Corey 7th, Papasavas 8th, Johnson and Ho round out the top 10. Nikita Johnson and Ethan Ho. Nikita, 15 years of age out of Gulfport, Florida, already a winner on the season. He comes in here sitting 3rd spot in points. Nikita for VRD Racing. Sam Corey back in 6th spot in points as well. Good job for him. A winner last year in USF Junior. He's P5 now as he finds some more speed. Sam Corey out of Cornelius, North Carolina in the 14. Now up into the top 5. Jack Jeffers still on pit lane at this point. I think he may have actually climbed out of the race car. So an issue for the 92 of Jack Jeffers. Not quite sure what's going on there. But Clark on top of the 208.33. Lots of time still for these drivers to bang out some quality laps as the fuel load starts to go down. That's the key effort right now, is the lighter the car gets, the better it'll be. The Cooper tire's very consistent. Track record time coming in at 2:07.8. As we know, Lockie Hughes got down, only driver into the 2:07s. Right now, 2:08.3, so Clark about a half a second off that fast lap that got laid down by Lockie Hughes. Clark, Sykes, Hughes, Garcia, and Corey top 5. Garcia-Arce, Douglas, Dzelski, Papasavas, and Johnson now the top 10 is Corey, Garcia-Arce, and Dzelski all quicker. VRD looking good right now. They've got a couple drivers in the top 10, 3 drivers in the top 10, one just on the outside, Max Taylor, 12th. Zach Ping and Gordon Scully, 16th and 17th. 6 drivers. for VRD Racing. They were front runners last year in the USF Juniors program as well. They right in the fight in juniors. Got 4 great young drivers, one of which is joining us here with Max Taylor. They've also got Ethan Barker, Jimmy Lockhart there as well, and Hudson Schwartz, young 14-year-old in USF Juniors. Does anybody have anything for Matt Clark right now? I got a feel with time, still lots of time on the clock. I want to say we're probably going to be just about 4 minutes to go. Because again, 20 minutes of green flag. Qualifying underway for the second race. Yeah, I'm going to say probably about 3.5 minutes remaining in this session. So they're going to get a couple more laps in. Does anybody have anything late in the run here? No one went quicker on lap number 6. Clark still up on top. 2:08.336. Interesting, Eric. Right now, half a second off the pace set by Hughes this morning. 66 degrees was what, maybe about 64. It wasn't that much cooler. I wonder whether the tires are, these could be a used set of tires as well. They may not be on the fresh rubber. I don't know.
I can't put myself really into a race engineer position, but I would maybe use the same tires I used in qualifying 1, since it is such a close session back to back. That saves your other sets for race 1 and race 2.
And we said 3 sets of tires, right? We've seen most guys have scuffed into sets, so those fresh rubber getting used. They may have put the rubber and the new ones back on. That's a really good. That's definitely could have been a strategy for some of the drivers. Come back on those ones later. See if you can lay down a lap. Especially if it's kind of common thought. If everybody's doing it, you're not losing to anybody. Clark, Sykes, Hughes, Garcia, Corey. Under 3 minutes remaining. The field right now essentially separated by just 2.3 seconds in terms of pace. Top 8 drivers within 9/10 of a second. Clark back to Dzelski. Dzelski set his fast lap last. Oh no, Papa Sava set his fast lap last time by. A 2:09.48. 1.1 back. He needs some more pace here as well. Most drivers 5, 6 laps, 7 laps in the books. Chase Gardner back across the line. 2:10.016, the best for Chase Gardner. He's been top 10 for most of the weekend, currently sitting 14th. Gardner was 13th for race 1, so we're seeing pretty much the same guys in the top. Danny Dzelski, the big mover, he was 11th in race number 1. He's currently sitting there in the now 9th spot as Nikita Johnson's moved up a spot to 8th, his teammate. Hughes, Sykes, Clark, Garcia, and Corey, almost the same guys except for Garcia jumping into the top 5. D-Force, Pabst, Jay Howard, VRD. 4 different teams in the top 5. Single car efforts for Ethan Ho in 11th spot. Elliot Cox in 16th. Again, about a minute remaining. Again, cars getting lighter and lighter, but again, look at fast laps. Lap 6 was the best for Sam Corey. Lap 3 for Garcia, lap 4 for Clark, Sykes, and Hughes on top. Matt Clark coming in 5th place in points. A big victory at IRP, the Freedom 75. That race paid a points and a half. Instead of 30 points for the win, it was 45. That was able to vault him up here. He's currently 5th in points, 68 points behind Lockie Hughes, but only 4 points behind Papa Savas. Less than 40 separate your top 3. But it's just 4 points between Lockie Hughes, the rookie, and Simon Sykes, the veteran. Long way to go. 2 races here at Road America, a triple header at Mid-Ohio, double header at Toronto, and then Labor Day weekend, a triple header at Portland to see who's going to walk away with that scholarship worth over $433,000. Checker flag going to come out here. This is going to wrap up this session, as I had said. So this is it. Final lap flyer. Does anybody go quicker on the last lap? Again, a couple guys have gone faster, but no one's dropped the hammer as of yet. I believe some drivers have probably already come into pit lane and headed back to the paddock. Don't think a lot of the drivers are still rolling here. There are a number of drivers still on track, but I don't think it's as packed as you expect.
4 or 5 cars just at the turn 14 timing stripe just now, getting the checkered flag. Spin in 7. Just on the exit of turn 6, just before the start to hurry downs.
Trying to figure out who that is.
Is that Zach Ping?
That may be Zach Ping. Yeah, that would be it. That's a 97. Yeah, that's Zach Ping in the VRD machine. So Ping's gone around, rolling the speed up the top of the hill. Let's pick up the 22 of Simon Sykes, currently sitting in second. Can he grab a pole position away? Right now the gap is 5 points. There's Matt Clark. That's your pole sitter coming through the kink. So Matt Clark of that number 1 machine, currently on the pole. What a big one it'd be here for Matt Clark. He got a pole on the oval. This would be his first road course pole in USF2000. Of course, won the USF Juniors Championship last year.
Was super impressed with Mac's performance here at Road America last year.
Yeah, I did, right? You announced that for me. I wasn't able to be here. We passed the keys off to Eric, and he rocked it. And yeah, Matt Clark was good here. Let's have a look. Coming across the line, we've just seen nobody go real strong here late. Couple of guys putting some lap times down. Fast lap there for Lucky Hughes, but he still holds P3. Nobody moving in the order. Sam Corey was quickest on lap number 7. He is still 5th. Ethan Ho, his fastest lap was his last one. He's still 11th. Maxwell Jamison went quickest on his last lap as well. So that's a pole position for Matt Clark, the Canadian, for D-Force Racing. USF Juniors champion from last year. His second pole of the year, his first at USF2000 on a road course. And Matt Clark and Simon Sykes will be on the front row for race number 2 tomorrow. Lockie Hughes and Max Garcia end up on row number 2. Sam Corey and George Garcia on row number 3. Jacob Douglas and Nikita Johnson, row 4. Danny Dzelski and Evagoras Papasavas on row number 5. Ethan Ho and Max Taylor, row 6. Al Morey, who spun in the opening lap and will start at the last for race number 1, ends up 13th, so a much better starting spot. He'll be alongside Chase Gardner on row 7. Dane Scott and Elliott Cox on row 8. Zach Ping and Gordon Scully on row 9. Maxwell Jamison and Avery Towns on row number 10. And Jack Jeffers, whatever the issue was for Jack, he will roll off in the 21st position. There you go, Matt Clark, about a half a second off the track record set by Lockie Hughes in race 1, a 208.337. Tire management obviously key here with only 3 sets for the 4 sessions. So when we saw guys come in, swap tires, do a little scuffing to get them ready for the races. I'll tell you, though, the guys in the championship fight are always up front. Like I said, the cream always rises to the top. P1 in the championship, Hughes starts 3rd. Sykes will start in the 2nd position. This battle's going to go all the way down to Portland.
Well, you know, the NTT IndyCar Series, that's going to be a heavyweight bout when we get into practice and qualifying for the next couple of days and once we get to the Sanzio Grand Prix. But this is maybe a bantamweight fight. I mean, this is, this is still going to be a good one.
Indeed.
I think that with so many teams being, spread less than a second, from the first half of the field, I believe it's through 9th, just 0.8 of a second, 1st through 8th here in qualifying for qualifying round 2. You're not going to be able to count anybody out. It's going to be anybody's race. We know what pack racing does here at Road America a little bit. You get in a little bit of traffic. All it takes is for you to just bobble a little bit, go wide into turn 5, and you drop 3 spots.
Yeah.
You don't have to even exit the racing surface. You just get off a racing line and you open that door. So it's not going to be just down and away for Matt Clark or Lockie Hughes from the pole in either of these races. These guys are going to have to fight for it and go elbows up all weekend long.
Let's be real. The big run down to turn 1, if the leader comes out of turn 1 with the lead, the pole sitter, it doesn't always happen. You can get drafted by, super easy, guys coming out up the inside. All that happens in 1 and 3. And then we do it all over again in turn number 5. As Eric had said, it's pretty easy for a train to slide by. You make one mistake here, you don't always just lose 1 position. Sometimes you lose 3 or 4. So we'll see how it all plays out. 3 races on the docket for you folks tomorrow when we get ready to roll here. As we have said before, we've got the drivers in USF2000 running a couple of races. Race 1 set to go at about 11 o'clock. Race 2 will be in the afternoon at 3:30. USF Pro 2000 will go before race 2 of USF 2000 at 2:40. Lots of racing coming tomorrow, and then, of course, one more race on Sunday morning, USF Pro 2000 wrapping up their doubleheader here at Road America. Qualifying's done. The grids are set, Eric. We got to go racing. Looking forward to Saturday.
And you look really good, and you've trimmed down a little bit because you, of course, ran the go-kart stuff last year. I know Alicia's doing the same. But my question is, are you ready to run from one end of the grid to back to the tower tomorrow?
I don't know that I'm going to. I think I'm just going to do it from up here.
Oh, you lucked out.
I'm getting too old. I can't do that running from the grid back up here.
Some of my favorite weekends have been you running from one place to the other in like a minute and a half.
Not being able to breathe when I got to the.
I don't know how you did it because I'd have passed out halfway back.
Hey, folks, thank you for those of you listening in or watching on the USF Pro Championships app or on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, folks. We'll be back here tomorrow. Eric and I will be in the PA booth. It's time to go racing with the USF Pro Championships.